That's it. That's the strongest passion. I wanted to make sure that what happened to me and that in that memorial won't happen again. Not to me and not to others. And that's a need for everyone. Maybe not at the moment, but someday, all over the world, for all of us, we are going to have this need.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Lomitech, and sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and Birthright Excel. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Today we're going to be talking to an entrepreneur that is dealing with what's happening after life to those that are still in life. Meet Shahar Peled, the CEO of Eternity. Shahar is an Israeli entrepreneur based in Tel Aviv, Israel. He is the CEO of Eternity, a post-investment Israeli startup established to change the way people commemorate and celebrate the life stories of their loved ones in a respectful, accessible, and moving way. Shahar majored in business and data science at IDC and graduated with honors. His managerial approach is all around hands-on involvement, the idea to execution process, and data-driven decision-making. Shahar Peled, thank you so much for joining me in 20-Minute Leaders. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. We know each other for quite some time, since Birthright Excel, in that amazing summer. And today you're the CEO of Eternity, in an incredible market, in a domain that pretty much nobody talks about, but everybody should be because it's so fascinating. So hopefully a few competitors will come out due to this episode. But really, they're coming. The work that you're doing is so interesting. Just intellectually curious speaking. Tell me a little bit about your own journey and how did you end up getting involved with Eternity and what are you doing today?
Okay, so my background, I came from a very different field. I was in public diplomacy.
Yeah.
My passion was representing Israel on different stadiums around the world. I've been to New York City, I've been to China, I've been to Europe. To represent Israel. I've lived in New York City for 2.5 years, bridging the gap between the communities on the Upper East Side in Manhattan and Israel, doing some good work, I think. And coming back was a shocker. Seeing that the world that I used to live in New York has changed the world I came to live in Israel after 2.5 years. Then I kept representing Israel. I went on some delegations to China and knew that this is the field that I want to continue standing. But then something changed. When I lived in New York, 3 of my grandparents passed away. Seeing their funerals via FaceTime was something that it wasn't good. It wasn't easy. I was very, very connected to all of them, basically. When I got back to Israel, I wanted to do something for them. 2 of them were Holocaust survivors, and that's a field that was always dear to my heart. So I organized some events to not just bring the subject up and educate the younger generations about the Holocaust, but also to take it abroad, to show to other people and have them understand and remember the Holocaust and make sure it never happens again. I went to my grandparents' memorial in the funeral, in the cemetery. And I remember talking about them because I'm the one that gives the speeches in the family. I don't write anything. I just go there and give some speeches. My nephews and nieces were next to me. They were bored. They didn't know them. And I kept talking and telling stories. And I suddenly understood that I forgot some of the stories and my memory changes and it's just subjective. And then I saw my nieces and nephews again and they were bored and they looked at this piece of stone, the tombstone, and they were nothing for them. And for me, they were everything. They're the reason this country exists right now. And then I just figured there's no way the memory of my grandparents, the heroes, the founders of Israel is going to end in my generation. And I wanted to change it because my nieces and nephews and my future kids, they're not going to open the books they read, they wrote. They're not going to open the albums or see some photos from the old days. They are going to be digital. They are going to take it to the 21st century. And then I knew we had to do something. So the idea of Eternity came from a personal need for me and for the other co-founders. That's it. That's the strongest passion. I wanted to make sure that what happened to me and that in that memorial won't happen again. Not to me and not to others. And that's a need for everyone. Maybe not at the moment, but someday, all over the world, for all of us, we are going to have this need. And to fix it.
And so the trend that you're talking about here, obviously this personal experience is something that is, uniform to billions of people around the world. This need that you're describing of needing to remember, needing to be able to share these memories, especially with the younger generation that is all about visuals and all about entertainment. And they need to interact with the memories that we're taking pictures of. And that's something that we're lacking. Why are we lacking this? Why don't we have a good solution for remembering the loved ones that we lost?
I think there are two reasons. One of them, this is just a very old, market, because people didn't want to change it. For them, memory is sacred, and you have to do it the old traditional way. And that's false, because the world changes. Technology is taking a larger and larger part in all of our lives, and we can't just leave this important aspect of our lives behind with technology. And the other part is all of these high-tech companies and giant companies didn't want to touch this field, didn't want to touch this market because it's taboo for some of them. So I believe this is the reason, or these are the reasons that this market is almost empty. It's like a blue ocean because not many people, not many organizations or companies wanted to address it. And that's a need that we need to address, not because it's tragic. Most deaths, or let's say more than 80%, are known. And some of them you just have to live with. Some of them obviously are very tragic, but commemorating our loved ones, telling their stories, making sure their legacy lives on is something that we all need to cherish. It's something we all need to do. And that's the reason eternity came to life.
So as you're thinking now as the head of a CEO, and obviously, I completely understand the need. And obviously, I think any person that listens to the story immediately understands the need, especially if they've lost a loved one, and even if they're not, just understanding that pain. How are you even thinking about addressing it? So there's a million ways to go about this with technological solutions, with social solutions. You have to focus as a company. How are you tackling this problem?
Yeah. So before we started even touching the subject, we had a very, very large market research, but it's not us sitting, Googling and looking for numbers. It's us going and talking to people, seeing if this need is really as vast as we thought. And we saw that it's even larger. The need to tell the stories, the need to even choose your own legacy, not just commemorate your loved ones. Choose your own legacy. Choose your loved one's legacy even before the sad moment happens. We knew that something needs to change, and we had to do three things. It's not a market you can just bring technology in and make it happen. It's not. It's something that needs to be different because the personal, real touch between the person and the customer, or the customer success, or anyone with the customers, the human touch is something you just can't put aside. You can't. You have to make it emotional. This is such an emotional moment. It's such an emotional process. Even if it's not a recent death, even if it happened 10 years ago, you have to give it a personal touch. You have to give it the human touch, and that's the way to do it. And second is really bring technology. It's not just deep tech that helps the techie people create memorial sites or anything else. It's something that has to work with everyone, with the 90% of humanity that has internet connection and can just log on and create something beautiful for their loved ones. And it's not something that is easy to do because it's so deep. And when you think of that, when you look at the products, when you look at what we do, you see that when people who are not as techy as you and me, let's say it this way, they don't believe they can do something like that for their loved ones and make it eternal, make it live for eternity. And that's the biggest goal, to make sure it's accessible, to make sure it's affordable to all. We're not a company that will only help those who have the money, have the resources. We want to help all. We want to make sure that even those who can't afford it will be able to commemorate the loved ones, because it doesn't matter if they're presidents or the simplest people who, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about. Everyone should be commemorated. Everyone had purpose in this world, and that's our goal. Make sure it's accessible, make sure it's affordable, make sure it's respectable.
Right. And so where's the low-hanging fruit at this point in terms of helping, the millions of people around the world better commemorate their loved ones? Well, where are we starting out from?
So as business-wise talking, we're starting in Israel as a pilot. We believe the market here is great I guess, market research for us to really understand if we're right. And we have tried and we've started and the results are amazing. So we took it a bit farther to the States and we saw that the need is mutual. So the way to do it is to take the products we've created and make sure that they're market fit, make sure that it really works with the customers we have. And it's really hard to define the customers because it's everyone. It's everyone from younger, I guess, young adults to elderly, to people who speak different languages, who some of them that never use the internet. Everyone needs to get the help and the way to commemorate their loved ones. And that's how we do it. We basically make sure it's affordable and accessible to all, not just by our tech, but also by our team. Because we have people going around Israel as we speak. Right now, actually, I have a few people working with some customers and helping them, just go and do it for them. Because as I told you can't really detach the human part.
And so what are they actually doing? What is the actual product?
They're going to families' houses, and creating memorial websites for their loved ones, helping them, do it for them, collect the materials, write the texts, upload the photos, upload the videos, the recordings, guide them into creating the most beautiful and respectful websites for them. And then they want to help them bring this memory, this tribute to life in the physical world. So they help to connect them to those who want to physically commemorate them. It can be in benches or parks or any other parts of universities and schools and municipalities and hospitals, because all of them basically want to create commemorations. And we can bridge the gap between the two parts, the organizations that want to fundraise or commemorate or build new establishments or build anything on behalf of someone, and those who wish to commemorate. And up until now, no one could have done this connection because there are two issues here. The financial one, that most physical commemorations are super expensive because they took out all of the less expensive ones that are also beautiful commemorations. And we knew how to do it. And the second one is bureaucracy. That if you wanted to commemorate your loved ones, or let's say a normal person wanted to do that, they had a really, really hard time doing it because of bureaucracy. I served in a unit in the IDF, and we wanted to commemorate the unit commander that passed away, that died in one of the operations. And we had the plans going and everything was approved by the municipality. We fundraised. We raised more than we needed. And it was 2.5 years ago. And still nothing happened because people woke up and then bureaucracy happened. And we wanted to bridge this gap. And with us, this is just not going to happen.
So the bureaucracy, I mean, getting the clearance from the municipality or whatever place you want to commemorate to allow for that to happen. Because what it sounds to me is that the gap that you're also describing here is the lack of experience that they may have with groups that are looking to commemorate, especially on a smaller scale. So if you want to, donate a building for millions of dollars, then they have a dedicated person working with you to make it happen. And that's still a lot of bureaucracy, but there's a lot of incentive from the other side. And what you're saying here is we're actually going to find a way to streamline this process to make it easy in both sides of the marketplace, both for the consumers who are looking to commemorate, but also for the municipality or the campuses that are looking to help them do that. Now, what is the incentive for the business to business side?
So in this specific product, let's say the physical commemoration one, those organizations, and that's a large number of organizations, as I said, municipalities, non-profits, nature organizations, schools, hospitals, etc. Basically, they spend hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars a year fundraising. They have dedicated people that all they do is look for donors. And they throw gala events, and they make sure they have the most beautiful presentations to get the donors. What we tell them is take the materials you have, upload it to our website, and that's it. We're going to find the people who wish to commemorate. Yeah, they might be donors, but we don't call them donors. There are families who want to commemorate their loved ones. All they have to do is choose the commemorative topic: education, health, nature, religion, whatever. Choose their budget, choose their location, and just like in a menu, they get all the commemoration options in front of their faces. All they have to do is click, choose the one they want. They can share it with their families, pay the amount of money that the organization decided to put it there. If they can't afford it, they can start a fundraising, a crowdfunding campaign in our website, on our platform. and basically give the money with friends, with family, until they can commemorate their loved ones. And then let's say they found a bench or a park in a city and it costs $10,000. In a few weeks, or the amount of time the organization said, maybe less, maybe more, there's going to be a park inside the municipality where the location was put in the site with a commemorative sign, on behalf of this and that, the loved one, and a QR code connected to their more website they created at Eternity. So now this memory not just going to live on digitally, it's going to live on physically as well. And it's not just for people who had the wealth to do it. It's not just for people who were famous enough to be commemorated. It's for everyone. And that's our goal.
Right. And so you're talking about, really a full circle, that this idea that you want to memorialize somebody in the digital world that is allowing really anybody, from now to eternity to reflect back on this person and not just look objectively. You mentioned before we started recording, not just a Wikipedia page, but really a timeline of their big events in their life. And who they were as a person, what their purpose in this world was, and their contribution to this world and society. But then you're saying, but on the physical aspect, you're reflecting back on your nephews, right? And how you're saying they're sitting there and they're not interested because they're not living the person that we're commemorating, but through a QR code or beacons or whatever it may be, you're bringing them, you're connecting them to the digital world through the physical world and making that bridge, right?
Yeah. No, we've been to New York together, right? I went to Central Park very often.
Yeah.
There. And on some of the benches, you see names.
Yeah.
But you just see names.
Yeah.
Who was that person?
Yep.
Who was he? Who was she? Who are they?
Yep.
Now, it's not just going to be the names. You're going to have the beacon, the QR code. All you have to do is scan it. And you enter the person's life. You see who they were. But as you said, it's not just going to be the name, a bio, and a picture. It's going to be a whole world of memory. A memorial community. Because we believe a life story cannot just be told by one person. A life story cannot just be told by a few photos and texts. A life story should bring all the community that the person lived in together. So we allow people in a few minutes, super simple, super user-friendly, and super respectful to bring the life story to life in a very simple way. All they have to do is choose the life periods or highlights. Let's say childhood, academy, trips, travels, love, whatever, skydiving, and then just upload content. It can be in words, it can be in photo, in video, recording, link, whatever. Assign it to the timeline and it's just gonna connect into the site. And then you send it to people who knew that person. All they have to do is click on upload a memory or whatever they want and just say what the person was to them, what they meant to them, and become a part of this commemorating community. And they're going to be part of the site, obviously with the admin's approval, just like it needs to be. But then it's not just going to be created once and be left forever. Every time an important occasion happens, or you remember the person, you can log in, you can add another memory. The site will remind you that this specific day is beautiful. Let's leave a note. Let's leave a candle. Let's light a candle for them. And let's make sure that their memory lives on. And we believe this community, the community is a life story. Beside it, without it, I don't think it can be a full life story.
Right.
And in each life period, we had a different community. We have to let them tell the story. It can't just be us telling the story with a few photos and a few words. It has to be together. It has to be communal. And that's what we believe in.
I think it's amazing. And I'll take it one step further, maybe in a greater vision, this idea that, if this is going to become a place of memory and commemorating, it's also a place for people that are going to leave the world to leave their few cents. And if this is a place where people are going to go back and reflect about this person's life and their mission and their vision and their values, well, that maybe there's a point where that person also has a part in playing in having those values written down, spoken verbally or recorded video.
Exactly.
But that's for another episode. And Shahar, I really want to thank you for coming here and sharing this vision. I think it's phenomenal. I think obviously it's an important. It's the values that are driving this company and your passion for it are amazing. I think it's also an amazing business opportunity, which is something that we can't neglect. And I'm a huge believer that positive impact drives also also positive business, and the intersection of the two is amazing. So I think what you're doing is totally amazing. I have a few more questions about you, not about eternity, but about you. Take me back to your childhood. What fascinated you as a kid?
I grew up in a very, very special home. I'm the youngest of four. My dad is a businessman that was barely home, but was very pushing. Let's say when I brought an A minus from school, he gave me the looks. Why not A plus? And when I scored 25 in basketball, he was like, why not 30? And when I made it to an elite unit in the IDF, why not a better unit? You see where I'm going. As a child, I knew that I have to be great no matter what I do. And that was something that I'll forever be grateful for, because he taught me that no matter what I do, just do it well. If you want to give back to the world, just do it well. If you want to do well for yourself, just do it well. And if you want to clean your home and stay and raise the kids, which is beautiful, do it well. And it's thanks to him. And my mom was the opposite. She just wanted us to be happy, always. And she said, no matter what you do, no matter if you're the best at it or not, just be happy. So as a kid, I wanted to bring the two together. Yeah. I wanted to be good at what I do, and I wanted to make sure I'm happy. And that's what I do right now. I work in a business, in a company that I run, and I don't feel like I go to work. Love what you do and never work a day in your life. That's how I feel every day.
And I think that's you're pretty much also answering the second question, but I'll ask it anyway. What inspires you today?
At Eternity, we say that we want to leave a positive mark in the world. And I'm going to put eternity aside for a second. That's what I want to do. I want to make sure that when I leave this world, hopefully in many, many years, I want to go when I know that I left a good mark in the world. I know that I did something great, something that people will say thanks because of it. And I believe it's possible, either through business or through giving back through other ways, nonprofits, education. I believe I need to do it, and that's what pushed me to keep going and working 24/7 to make sure I leave a good mark in the world.
Amazing. And 3 words you would use to describe yourself?
I'm passionate. No matter what I do, I'm passionate about it. I could be shy. That sometimes it doesn't look like it, but I could be very shy. And I think loving. I'm a loving person to other people, sometimes to myself, and also to what I do. Even Benny here gets some love from us. So I think these are the words that came to my mind right now.
Shahar, toda rabba. Thank you very, very much. This was amazing.
Thank you for
Best of luck.
Me. Thank you very much.